Hi guys, I'm going to talk you guys over how to navigate into your taster pack. So obviously you're going to be watching this either before or when you do get your taster pack, obviously in the courier. So I thought I would do a video about the taster pack, everything that comes in it. It would still be a good idea to follow up with myself or Dana after you have had a chance to watch this video. Have a look on our Facebook feed, the OWAY Movement for Stylists, because if you type in any sort of information that you want to know on a certain product, will pop up. So today I'm going to run you through what you would get in your initial pack. There are extra products within our system, but what you'll receive in the pack is what I'm going to talk to you guys all about today. So first of all, in your pack, what you're going to receive is the H screen. Now the H screen is a protectant oil used to either put in and around your hairline, on the ears, also can be intermixed with your colour. So how you would do that is for every 30 to 40 grams of colour, you'd put in 3 to 4 pumps. Anything more will dilute the product, anything less isn't really going to work. So please be mindful of that. You want to obviously put your colour in the bowl, have your activator, mix it up, then add in your H screen as the last step. I also personally put this into all of my tints. It does make it a little bit more pliable, so you'll notice when you do add this in, it does liquefy the product a little bit, which is totally okay. I actually think this is a positive, obviously, because it moves through the hair a lot faster, or it makes it more pliable to use. The H colour is quite thick and creamy, which is beautiful to work with, but sometimes when you want to work through the lengths and ends of hair, adding in your H screen does just make it a little bit more pliable for you to use. So that is your H screen there. It can also be used in with your H bleach, this one here, when you're doing an on scalp lighten. So if it's the same mixations, when you are mixing it, no more than 30 grams to 3 pumps. And what it does is it actually separates away from the scalp. You're not going to see this action happening. It will put a film over it and obviously protect against any sort of itching, abrasions, or if anybody's got little cut scalps, anything can cause irritation on the scalp, whether it's that time of month, medication, dietary, seasonal. All these little things can impact somebody, whether they're going to feel a little tingle or not, or obviously if they've got a little abrasion on their scalp. So I just think it's a good, safe one to do to add into your mixes all the time. I also put it into my toners as well. Again, it just makes it a little bit more pliable. If you do have people that are prone to staining, definitely put it around their hairline, on the tops of their ears, and with their colour. It makes removal like a dream, just super easy, and you won't have any issues with any sort of staining. So that is your H screen there. Then you'll also have your H Tech shampoo. It looks like this one here. It does actually come with a pump, so it's a 500ml bottle. The H Tech shampoo is, I suppose you could say it is like our clarifying shampoo. It's got a higher pH, so a 9.5 to 10.5, which means it's going to open up the cuticle, okay? So why this is in the pack is we do recommend for some grey head clients to pre-shampoo. This is not to say that you now need to shampoo every single grey hair client, because it's not the case. I have very little clients that actually need to do this, but why it's important is a lot of people forget that nowadays everyone lives off the root retouch-up sprays to cover their grey so they can go longer between colours. People use dry shampoo, so not only do they have days of dry shampoo, they've also got days of excess oil in their hair if they're using a dry shampoo. So it's just being mindful that if your client comes in and they haven't washed their hair for 4 days, they've got root sprays in, they've got dry shampoos, they have a lot of obviously natural oil built up, this can create a barrier on the hair shaft, and when we're trying to cover grey hair, this could have an impact, okay? Not to say that it will, this is just to give you worst case scenario. Also, if you have someone that's overtoned blonde hair, a guy with product buildup, or anything like that, sometimes the hair it could be environmental buildup or a chlorine buildup, anything that has a barrier on the hair that you just want to remove and cleanse and give yourself kind of a clean slate to work on, I would use your H Tech shampoo. Also, if you're going to do a shampoo cleanse, a bleach bath, however you want to name it, you would use this to carry in with your bleaching butter. So it would be the shampoo of choice, obviously because it's going to help open up that cuticle, so it's going to be the best one to use there. Yeah, so your H-Tech shampoo, that's one. It is an in-salon product only, so it's not a clarifying shampoo or a cleansing shampoo that you can sell retail. Anything in our pink is in-salon only, so that one is there for that reason. Then you will also receive 2 developers, catalysts, activators, whatever you would like to call them, okay? So we call ours catalysts. So you will have a 20, 30 and 40 that is available. However, in our pack we supply you with 30 volume, so a 9%, and then we have a 2.7% being a 9 vol. This one is called H-Tone. Now, the reason why they have different, I guess, names is just because your H-Tone is a level on level or darker developer. So it would be like a demi developer essentially. So tone on tone going darker. A lot of people would be used to using probably a 10 volt, so this would be your equivalent to your 10 volt essentially. Then the next question I'll get asked is this our lowest developer? Yes, it is. Then the next question will be, everyone's going to say you're still going to achieve some lift with this, all right? So how we get around that is we have a product called the H Milk, which does not come in the pack, but it is in the same size bottle as your H Tech, only it would say the H Milk here, okay? Now the milk is ceramides, so your protein and lipids, so fats and protein. We then use it to dilute our developers. So if you were to mix equal parts of your H-Tone and your milk, you'd have probably a 1.38%, so that would be about a 4 or 5 vol. If you do that mixation, you will not run into any lift. Obviously, it's going to be a very soft deposit only. Okay, so if you do want to create your 20 volt in your pack, because you will receive 30 and your 9, these two here, half and half is going to give you a 20 volt, which is why we don't need to have every single developer in your pack. So they are your 2 developers. You still will get 0 to 1 levels of lift with this. Bear in mind the sort of hair that you are working on. If you're on fine hair types, yes, you're obviously going to achieve more lift than if you were on coarser heads of hair that are harder to break through. Okay, so they are your 2 liquid developers there. You then have 5 colours of choice. Now I've just got my 5 and my 7 sitting here in front of me. So it's a 100-gram tube. It is ammonia free colour and it is very low PPD, okay? So yes, there are still very low levels of PPD in this colour tube. Now why I tell you guys that is obviously because it's no secret. So it is ammonia free, low level PPD colour. 100-gram tube mixed 1 to 1.5, unless there is any sort of grey hairs that you do not want to be seen. Anything from 30% on, you would mix 1 to 1 always. So if you never want to see a grey hair, mix 1 to 1 if in doubt, okay? If you don't mind a softer feel, or if you're not working on grey heads of hair, then 1 to 1.5 is your mixation to go to. If you're doing a high lift colour, then it's always 1 to 2 with your 30 or 40 volt. Toning 1 to 1.5, however many people mix 1 to 2, so if you feel comfortable doing that, by all means mix 1 to 2, but manufacturer's instructions is a 1 to 1.5 mixation, okay? So we've got, I believe, around 98 tubes of colour. So we also have the H+, which are about a 60-gram tube, so they're much smaller and they are intensifiers. Everything from your base shades right up to our mixed tones. Everything is intermixable, so we can intermix our high lift colours, which are a 90 series. Let me just get this colour chart for you. So our 90 series can actually be intermixed with any other colour in the range. So the 90 series are these ones here. Okay, so they are also our toners, but can be intermixed with any other colour throughout the chart. So it just opens up your options in terms of toning or creating any sort of tone and colour that you would like. With your toning and your grey coverage, which I'll go over now because they are obviously the 2 very common questions that always get asked. People want to know about their blondes and their toning and grey coverage. So first of all, I'll do grey coverage. When covering grey hair with ammonia free colour, you've got to remember that our results are, I guess the hair's going to look like hair. Because we are low level PPD, it's not going to look heavy, inky and opaque. So you're going to get 100% coverage. However, the hair's going to look like hair, it's going to feel like hair, and it's going to look natural. I would strongly suggest that you do use a base shade to cover grey hair. So our base shades being these ones here, your 1 to your 9. That is because they're always going to give you maximum coverage. However, we have clients that do have great results with your 01 because they've still got a lot of base in them, being a 35 to 15 ratio. If you do want to add in reflect, say, of a warmer colour or any sort of shade, and you want it to do a 50-50 mix, you will need to take your base shade one level darker, okay? This is to give us extra pigment, and it will ensure that we do get the coverage that we are after. When you obviously add in a reflect, you're going to dilute the coverage power. Also bear in mind, when you are working on grey hair, a lot of people seem to forget that it's like when you backfill blonde hair, you've got loss of melanins, you've got loss of pigment, and we are needing to put that back. So if you are trying to cover grey hair with a 6 level and you want it to look like a 6 level, but they are 80% grey, you're trying to fill the hair and colour it all at the same time. So just bear in mind that when you are trying to cover grey hair, sometimes you need a little bit more pigment or a little bit of a darker pigment to give you that strength to actually fill, colour and cover. Okay, so that is just a little tip. The other suggestion is always to take very fine sections. Ammonia-free colour does not swell and move like an ammonia-based product would. So it's really important that you take fine sections, and so when you lift your section up, you can almost see the product under there. So you're just refreshing that each time. Again, that's because it does not swell and move. You can't expect it to just push through large, thick sections. So just be a little bit anal with your application, making sure that you are applying enough product. So fine sections, enough product, using your base shades, or remembering that you might need to take it half a level darker if you're going to add in some reflect. Then the other thing is to make sure that you've got a 45-minute processing time, okay? So it is going to need time to develop and to deposit. So if you take it off in 30 minutes, it might not be covered. So they are the little tricks. Also, then you could use your H-Tech shampoo for the really niggly clients. Like I say, it's not every single client that has grey hair you're going to need to shampoo, but use it to your own discretion. So you know your clients that you really struggle with, you'll need to use it on those. Or if you have that client that has got a lot of build-up, okay? So grey hair naturally has more cuticle layers to it. So you've got 14 to 21, but when you don't have grey hair, you've only got 7 to 10. So already you've got more of a barrier to break through, okay? The other option is, I've got it here. It doesn't come in your pack, but we've got a product called Hypercolor. Excuse my bottle, it's obviously well used. So Hypercolor is another product that we can use to assist in grey hair, so it accelerates the processing time. There is a video on here about it, but what it essentially does is it keeps the colour molecule smaller and it stops it from oxidizing. So when it goes onto the hair, those molecules are kept small so it can penetrate further and faster. The heat from the scalp or a heat source, a cap or some sort of wrapping, releases the molecule and starts activating that product. So it just means that it can keep the molecule smaller to enter in further and faster than if you're going to have a product that's already sitting in the bowl oxidizing. And as you know, when colour oxidizes, the molecules enlarge, yeah? So that is grey coverage. Now, when you are toning, for those of you that have come from using ammonia-based colour, what you'll notice is our toners do take a little bit longer, okay? So it's not going to be on and off in 2 minutes, yeah? You will need to give it time, minimum of 5 minutes, okay? What you'll see is pigments start to process on the outside. So if you're going to use a violet or an ash, you'll start seeing that pigment processing on the outside. So a lot of people kind of freak out at this point and think, oh, the hair's going a little bit purple, what am I going to do? They rinse it off. And then what happens is they think that, oh, I should have left it on longer because it hasn't quite had enough time to deposit and actually tone. So you need to trust what you're putting on. My suggestion is if you do think it really is ready, get a towel and just kind of rub it dry and actually check the dry result before. Sometimes if you just rub it off with your fingers, it doesn't really dry, so you've still got residue on there. it can be a little bit misleading. So please do just get a towel and rub it dry before rinsing off your toner. Otherwise, you're going to be washing money down the drain because you're just washing product away, and then you'll need to remix and add some more toner, okay? So trust what you're putting on. Minimum of 5 minutes. I would say generally I personally leave my toners on for about 10 minutes, and that again ensures that I've had enough time to deposit. This is because when you use ammonia free, it is slow and steady to its processing time, okay? So ammonia tends to spike straight up and come crashing back down, and it will stop, which is why when you use an ammonia toner, it is very quick. You put it on, you've almost got to take it off straight away. When you do use an ammonia free, it's got a lot of leeway. So you put it on and just let it have its time, trust it, and let it process, and it will slowly get to where it needs to be, okay? So that is toning in a nutshell. That's not to say that if you really think your toner is ready in 5 minutes, but I've said to leave it 10 minutes, just use your personal discretion. You're all hairdressers, so you all know your own clients and their hair and where it's at. So do just take obviously your professional approach, but this is my recommendation, not to freak out when you just see the pigment. So just rub it dry before you do rinse, so you can test whether it's actually ready or not, okay? So general processing, if you are just doing a demi, you're not working with grey, you're just doing a tone on tone going darker, 35 minutes is going to be max. It will be absolutely perfect. Anytime you're trying to create any sort of lift, vibrancy or coverage with grey, you want to give it 45 minutes, okay? No question. So if you are working with grey hair, 45 minutes. If you want to leave it 50, by all means, the colour will not go darker. So you can happily leave it for 50 minutes. And anytime you're trying to create lift, you want to give it time to actually do the work and create vibrancy. Especially with your high lift colours, obviously 50 minutes is a must to get you that lift and also the tone. Or if you're trying to create a vibrant colour, you're still going to want to give it time to lift. Cool. So that is your colour in a little nutshell. So the tubes look like this. These are my two base shades. Oh, they're upside down. These are my two base shades here. One thing that I will just give you guys a heads up, if you do have a tuber 6.0, for whatever reason, I just tell people this now, is our 6.0, let me get you the little, this one here, it does tend to come up a little bit kind of light and a little bit translucent, okay? This is not a negative. What people forget is because it's a low level PVD colour, a 6 is actually a dark blonde. You're on an orange undertone, but for so long, people working with ammonia based colours or been hairdressing for years, colours traditionally had a lot more kind of dye, so your PPDs in them, so colours appeared darker. So what's kind of happened is for so long, in a lot of ranges, we're used to putting a 6 on, but it visually looks like a 5. Okay, so then when they go put a 6 level on hair that's very grey naturally, and you've lost melanin out of the hair, and then they wonder why it comes up lighter than what they're expecting. So what I do suggest is when you are looking at your 6.0, really look at the hair, identify how much grey you're working with and what sort of result you want. I find on grey hair, this will come up a little bit, kind of like I say, a little bit warmer, translucent. So how I get around that is I actually mix my 5 and my 7 together, okay? Now my mixations, I generally do say 20 grams of my 5.0, and then I do about 15 of my 7.0. For whatever reason, that gives me the perfect 6.0 colour that a lot of us envision it coming out, that brunette that's not light but not too dark. Remember, 5.0 is kind of that tipping point where it does actually tip into a brown, and it's got a heavier pigment, so it's got stronger coverage power opposed to going lighter. So that is just a little off the books tip from obviously using it and experiencing that result. And every time I've had to talk to somebody about coverage, it will always be the 6 level, so I just thought I would put it in this video and let you guys all know now. 6.0 is beautiful if you don't have high percentage of grey hair to use, so go ahead and use it. It's absolutely beautiful. But if you are working on high levels of grey hair, you know, 80% and up, you just need to rethink about the loss of melanin in the hair, and you actually need to add in the added pigment. Or what you could do is use your 6.0 and add in 5 to 10 grams of 5.0, and it would just amplify the pigment and give it a little bit more guts to it so you have better coverage. Okay. Now, also what you'll have in your pack is the H bleach. So it comes in this pouch here. It is ammonia free on and off scalp. So because it is like a butter, it does have a lavender and perilla oil in. So because of this reason, you need to give it a massage like this before you do use it. Okay, so it's really important that you move the product around, or you'll have oil sitting at the top here. Okay, so like I say, on and off scalp, 5 to 6 levels of lift. Always mix 1 to 2. You need the oxygen to actually make it drive and work. Otherwise, you're going to have too much of your bleaching butter, which could potentially be a little bit more damaging or not give you enough lift. So we actually need to rely on our activator to drive and open up the cuticle. Okay, so on off scalp, absolutely fine. It is super gentle. Bear in mind it is ammonia free, guys. So for the ones that have come from using an ammonia-based colour and they're used to their lightness being ready in, say, 25-30 minutes, it will not be the case with this, okay? It does need time. However, if you do have a client that is naturally, say, a 7 or an 8 level, you're only really trying to achieve, say, 2 to 3 levels of lift, ideally. So yes, then it will be ready a lot faster than if you're working on darker heads of hair. If you are working on darker heads of hair, it will need full processing time, more than likely, okay? So full processing time is 50 minutes. So that just gives you enough time to either apply another colour in your processing time or do a haircut. It isn't a must to leave it on 50 minutes. Obviously, it is a visual process, but this is just when you are trying to achieve lift on dark heads of hair. I'm telling you, it will probably need full processing time. So please don't be impatient. And that is just due to it being ammonia free. Like I said before, it is slow and steady to reach its full capacity. When you use ammonia free, it will spike straight up and then it will come crashing back down and it will just kind of stop, which is why a lot of traditional powder lighteners are ready in, say, 25-30 minutes. Okay, so this will get you where you need to be, but just have the patience with it. Yeah. Now, what else did I say? I think that's it on that one. So always 1 to 2. Another thing that I just want to give you guys a little tip on is, again, being ammonia free, you need to make sure you're applying enough product, okay? Keeping it moist and having enough on there that it's working through the hair. You can't rely on this to swell and move through the hair naturally because it's not a swelling product. So where you put it is where it's going to stay. Especially if you know you're on darker heads of hair, just keep that in mind. If you're trying to get a very light blonde on dark hair, just reassess your section size, especially when you're foiling, because a lot of people think, oh, we'll just take thicker sections, work through the hair faster, but then they actually spend longer waiting for it to lift, or they wonder why maybe they're not getting the lift that they were after or hoping to achieve. So do just bear in mind your section size, especially on thick or dark, coarse heads of hair that you are actually needing to get the lift or needing that product to work through. That's just a little tip there. Same when you're doing an on scalp lighten, just ensure that you've got enough product, that it is kind of kept moist and it is working. Yeah. Then the last thing in your pack, guys, is you will have a shampoo and conditioner called the H Balance. Now I've got the basin size sitting in front of me, so it looks like this, and you'll have smaller versions of this. Now the reason why we must rinse all colours off with this, your shampoo and your mask. So even after you've done a toner, you want to shampoo your toner off, just a very light shampoo, okay? So if I was to do a colour, I would rinse my foils out. I would do one shampoo of choice, whether it's a moisturising or a silk and glow, anything that you desire, that you think your client needs. Then you'd obviously do your toner. Once your toner is ready, I do a light shampoo with my H Balance. I don't go on and kind of aggressively scrub the hair. I just get it on, and obviously it's going to foam up really well. And so I just move that through the hair, working it all over. Rinse it off, then I apply my mask, okay? Leave that on for a few minutes, working it through the hair. You only need a small amount. A lot of people get very happy-handed. Remember how concentrated our products are, so my suggestion is either a teaspoon or a popsicle stick or something like that, just to control the usage of this product. The reason why we have to use this, guys, is again the ammonia free thing. When you use an ethanolamine and MEA, it does not stop processing by itself. So the product will want to continue to oxidize. So we actually need to remove the product from the hair with this and stop oxidization from happening. This is going to lower the pH and return the hair to its natural state, okay? So once we've opened up the cuticle and we've coloured the hair and we've raised everything up, we just want to lower everything back down, calm the hair, and close off that cuticle. If you didn't use it once, it's going to be fine. But if you're going to not use it continuously, remember that you're going to have continual oxidization happening within the hair, and that's obviously not a good thing, because then over time your colours could fade quicker, and also potentially dry it out because you've got oxidization happening within the hair. So we want to really stop that process. Normally if you were using an ammonia based colour, it would stop with the water, it would dissipate, turn into a gas in the air and evaporate, but that doesn't happen when you don't use ammonia in your colour. So we just need to ensure that we are stopping the process, lowering everything down, calming the hair down, and closing off that cuticle. So we return the hair back to its natural state. Okay, so that is what will be in your pack. Like I say, because it is a full H system, so everything will be in these pink labels that are an in-salon product only. And there are a few other little products within our colouring system, but what you've got here today is the perfect pack for testing. It will obviously give you multiple goes because you do actually have a 500 gram lightener here. So it will give you a really good chance to play on multiple hair types, textures and different levels, to really get a good gauge on it. So I hope this is helpful. Like I say, this is just an intro. You do have cheat sheets that come in your pack as well, so use those as a guide. Also, the OWAY Facebook movement page has really good information. If you search in the top bar any of the products that you're after more information on, there will either be a video or it will come up with everyone's dialogue and conversations around that one product. So I hope this was helpful and it gets you guys going, and myself or Dana will talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.